If you didn't already catch on by the title of the video, spoiler warning. I'd recommend that you watch Luca before watching this video so that everything makes sense and that you don't ruin the movie for yourself. Also to support everyone who worked on the movie. That's all you get. On with the video. So recently, I watched Pixar's newest feature film, Luca, the movie about two young Italian sea monster boys doing some fun little summer shenanigans. Before it was released, I was actually very hooked and hyped for this movie to come out, mainly due to how beautiful it looked and the fact that I thought I was going to relate to it a lot as a senior in high school. And coming out of it, those expectations have been reached, and something about Luca has made it my personal favorite Pixar movie of all time. How is this possible? You may be asking yourself, thinking about how this movie could beat out the Pixar classics such as WALL-E, Up, and their magnum opus, Cars 2. Well, it can be one of two things. Either I have a monkey brain and therefore my opinion and taste in stuff is obsolete, or there's something really special about Luca that separates it from the other Pixar movies. I'd like to think it's the latter of the two. Now, Luca definitely stands out from the other Pixar movies, not only because of its more stylized animation, but because of its more simple plot. Compared to many of Pixar's movies, Luca is much more down-to-earth and is basically the only slice-of-life film, with the exception being the sea monster gimmick. And before anyone else says it, no, Pixar did not skimp out on the plot to deliver beautiful visuals. Just because a plot is more simple does not mean that it is immediately dull or boring. I believe that the movie actually thrived because of how straightforward the plot was, as it was able to focus on capturing certain elements of childhood summers and friendships rather than having to follow a more convoluted storyline and include unneeded plot points. However, and I'm gonna sound like I'm contradicting myself, but I'm not, such a slice-of-life premise is unable to thrive on its own. What makes slice-of-life media so great is the characters. Take Cartoon Network's Clarence, for example. It's a very grounded slice-of-life cartoon that follows the characters and the everyday instances they find themselves in. If you watch the show, you would understand that the personalities of each of the characters and the relationships between them are what really enhances the childhood aspect and makes the show much more enjoyable and relatable. Without them, then it becomes too mundane. As a comparison, Clarence is able to keep up and build upon their personalities across the span of the TV show. Luca cannot do this, as it is a movie, but yet in the course of about an hour and 30 minutes, we immediately grow attached to the characters we meet, become invested in them, and see how their relationships change over the course of the movie. And that is where the true beauty of Luca sparks from. The characters, the relationships between them, and overall, the writing. Now, this wouldn't be a video essay if I didn't have to provide evidence and reasonings, as you could argue that Pixar movies are always like this. So why don't we start with some breakdowns of the characters, specifically the main trio of the movie, Luca, Alberto, and Giulia. Let's start with Luca. He's our titular protagonist, and his personality begins as very timid, shy, and a bit clumsy, yet very curious about the human world. He's been sheltered his whole life and has been told by his parents that the human world is a terrifying place. And they'd be right, but that's besides the point. We learn that his goal in the movie is to find out more about the surface world and find something that's further beyond the quiet life he's acquainted with underwater. As the movie progresses while he's on the surface, he learns more about the human world and becomes more confident and braver, being able to break out of his comfort zone and become independent. To contrast, let's move on to Alberto. He has an extroverted personality and is very adamant about having fun and being free-spirited. He's the one who knows the most about the human world, as he's been living above the surface for as long as we know. Upon meeting Luca, he takes sort of a leader-type role between them and does his best educating Luca about what he knows about humans. Despite advocating for free choices and having fun, throughout the movie, Alberto does have a small bit of a bossy, controlling tone that sets up the inner conflict. We learn that he hates being alone and forgotten, and to add on, doesn't want to lose anyone who's close to him. However, towards the end of the movie, he becomes more considerate towards others and is freed from that burdensome feeling. Character arc. Finally, to complete the trio, we have Giulia. She's the only human of the group and is the self-proclaimed underdog, being different from the rest of the crowd. She's kind, smart, and very outgoing. During the summer, she comes to Porto Rosso to live and work with her dad, and right off the bat, we learn that she wants to beat Ercole, the movie's antagonist, in the big Porto Rosso Cup race. Am I saying that right? Porto Rosso? Because she's only in Porto Rosso during the summer and is a bit more different than everybody else, she doesn't have much other friends in the town, as we could see, since literally the whole town bashes on her for puking during a big physical challenge that includes eating. Sorry, I got off track. Despite having no friends, Giulia isn't afraid to stand up for those who also get picked on and are like her, and in the case of the movie, Luca and Alberto. Alright, so we have these three characters, but as most media goes, there has to be some sort of relationship dynamic between them. In Luca's case, because we have a friendship trio, it definitely exists. And it's really well done. The biggest relationship in the movie is obviously Luca and Alberto. The two have undeniable chemistry together and is the driving point for the movie. When they first meet each other, Alberto is the one who takes Luca under his wing, and they find their common interests in the human world, their want to be free, and their desire to find more out there in the world. Oh yeah, and the fact that they're both sea monsters, but, you know, gotta keep it a bit less obvious. Alberto being more laid back, Luca was more apprehensive and careful towards danger. Alberto was able to break through Luca's boundaries and help him live life, which strengthens the bond between Luca and himself. They were such good friends that when Luca's parents were about to send him away to the deep with Borat fish, the first person he decided to go to for help was Alberto, signifying that Luca thought Alberto would have his best interest in mind. And he technically did, you know, for a kid. Alberto suggested that the two of them could run off together and live the life of fun and adventure that they both desired. Now, skip ahead of the movie, this friendship lasts up until Luca starts getting close with Julia, where Alberto begins getting jealous. When Luca expresses interests that relate to what Julia likes, he tries to break Luca's newer dream of going to school and bring him back to their original goal, going as far as to reveal himself as a sea monster and jeopardizing both of them. Dick move, Alberto. But then Luca does an even bigger dick move and plays dumb, trying to hold on to what he had in the human world while sacrificing his best friend. And it was at this exact moment that you could see Alberto's heart break. Luca's cover gets blown, and when he loses everything that he had on the human world, before he returns back to his home, he decides to make amends with Alberto. There we learn that Alberto's dad left him, thus making Alberto afraid of abandonment and feels like Luca is better off without him, since he's seeing the cycle repeating again. This scene was such a good way to peer into the side of Alberto that we've never seen and has been foreshadowed throughout the movie. From the more obvious awkward mention of his father to the fact that Alberto does not understand the concept of Luca's parents looking for Luca as his dad didn't come back looking for him. This scene is very important to understand the character of Alberto and acts as the turning point of Luca and Alberto's friendship. After realizing what he's done, Luca decides to reconcile with Alberto by doing the triathlon solo. And because Alberto cares for Luca when it starts raining, he comes in with an umbrella for him and attempts to sacrifice himself after getting exposed as a sea monster. And now comes the scene that fully restores the friendship between them. The fact that Luca decided it was more worth it to save Alberto rather than letting the sacrifice happen shows that he cares more about Alberto's life and friendship over his life on the surface, and how much Alberto's personality has rubbed off on him. The roles have essentially switched here, and Luca has finally broken free from being his normally timid self, reforming the power duo of the movie. Skip forward a bit, and we approach the end of the movie, which happens to display how close the two have gotten after all this time. Luca and Alberto finally got the Vespa they've been dreaming of, and now the town knows of their existence as sea monsters. Julia, yes I know I haven't really mentioned her, but you know, she's here, is going off to school, and Luca is prepared to send her off as summer closes. Yet we learn that now that they have technically accomplished their dream of owning the Vespa, Alberto realizes that that dream is unrealistic and that Luca has a new dream. Alberto sells off their Vespa to get Luca a train ticket and enrollment to school, which shows of how he now cares for Luca's well-being and goals after all Luca's done for him. And when Luca realizes Alberto isn't going with him, he feels like he won't be able to do it without him. I'm a man, I'm a man, I'm a man, I'm a man, I'm a man.
But how am I gonna know you're okay?
This is the relationship that carries the movie, and it just feels so organic and real, and it cannot stress this enough, accurately depicts how good friendships will last forever, whether that means in person or with distance between them. Sure, other Pixar movies do this type of best friend dynamic and they do it well, but this one just feels much more natural and something that you'd see in real life or something that you'd look back on. There's something very charming about focusing on a childhood friend dynamic, which just strikes me as different from the other types of relationships in Pixar movies. You have stuff like a family relationship in movies like Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, and Up, or the friend relationships in WALL-E, Ratatouille, and The Good Dinosaur. But for some reason, for me, I didn't connect as well with those as I did with the childhood best friend dynamic with Luca. Heck, even after the movie, I decided to reconnect with my best friend because of the bond I had formed with the movie. The relationship between Luca and Alberto, and even the entire movie, is based on the director's personal childhood, which probably explains why this movie feels much more special and nostalgic. And because of this, Luca truly is beautiful. Yet, Luca and Alberto aren't the only well-written relationship in the movie. The best dynamics after them are actually the ones that technically separate them and the ones they end with in the movie. Luca and Julia, and Alberto and Massimo, Julia's dad. The Luca and Julia friendship starts after she stands up for the two and sees that they are just as determined as her to win the triathlon. The real spark between the two begins once Luca and Julia are left alone after Massimo asks for Alberto. We'll come back to that later. Wanting to educate him further on subjects, Julia shows Luca the stars and corrects him on human concepts that he had never known. They hit it off really hard, and this begins to make Alberto mad with jealousy. This changes Luca's goal in the surface world from getting the Vespa for adventures to wanting to attend school and learn more. Fast forward to the Alberto reveal, and Luca sides with Julia in order to maintain his relationship with her and hold on to what he knows about the human world. While Julia is still in shock, Luca tries to convince her that it can all still work out, to which Julia thinks Luca is going cuckoo bananas and tries to snap him out of it. Yikes. Right when you thought it couldn't get any more heartbreaking, seeing Julia having to reluctantly make Luca go away to protect him despite finally having friends is just a painful yet more realistic sight to see. I'm glad Disney did not go for the whole being angry for lying to me approach that I've seen in many different movies. Wish Dragon. It's so much more refreshing that even though she now knows that Luca is a sea monster, she still cares for his safety and wants to protect him. Julia sees past his appearance as a sea monster and just sees Luca based on his personality and her close friendship with him. And as mentioned earlier at the end of the movie, Luca ends up going with Julia to school and to live with her mom. Now let's backpedal a little bit and cover the final really good and probably more underappreciated relationship in the movie, Alberto and Massimo. Alberto and Massimo's relationship is a simple father-son one, so what makes it so special or beautiful? Well, it's really just how we get to their relationship and how Alberto's past plays into it. We first meet Massimo when Julia brings Luca and Alberto home. He looks like a cold-hearted, big, burly, tough guy, but we learn that he's really just a one-armed softie and cares for Julia's well-being. However, we also learn that Massimo is a fisherman and a sea monster hunter, thus adding on that tension. When Massimo takes Luca and Alberto to fish with him, Alberto takes interest in Massimo's lack of arm, and as any cool dad would do, Massimo jokes with him and proceeds to be a badass despite how he was born. Alberto continues to look up to him, but also has his current focus with Luca. Later on at night, when the trio are talking about their game plan, Massimo comes in to ask for help with the fish, specifically calling on Alberto, claiming that he's the strong one. At this point, you could just say that he was singling out Alberto as the stronger one, since he probably is, but I'd like to think it's because Massimo saw him as a son at that point, or just grew fond of him. That idea becomes more likely as the movie proceeds. We see Alberto copying Massimo's single arm when working, Massimo protecting Alberto from a seaweed monster, and Massimo teaching Alberto how to eat pasta with a fork. After Alberto revealed himself that night, Massimo had made his favorite food before the big race and even copied his style of eating with his hands. You animal. When he saw that only Luca and Julia came home, he immediately questioned where Alberto went. Despite Luca saying that he left and doesn't want anyone to find him, Massimo decides to go after him anyways, saying, "You never know," and already shows off how he is genuinely worried about him and wants to look for him. We then learn that Alberto's deadbeat dad left him, which makes Massimo's decision to go look for him and the interactions between them even more heartwarming. We don't get much more from this relationship until the very end of the movie, where Alberto decides to stay back with Massimo rather than attending school with Luca. Though he claims that Massimo needs him, it's obviously a mutual thing, as Alberto now has the father figure that he never had, while Massimo now gets to have someone close to them that's not only during the summer. We get to see the two together more in the end credits pictures, and honestly, come on, it's adorable. One of the drawings show Massimo and Alberto having a party in which Alberto receives his first knife. Now, whether this party is supposed to be a birthday party or an adoption celebration is up to you, but either way, this finalizes the idea that Massimo now sees Alberto as a son. There are a few other relationships that I could cover, like Luca and his family or Alberto and Julia, but I personally think that the three that I covered are the best to display how well written the movie is and how realistic they made everyone feel. Now I could go on and on about how I think the writing and the relationships are well done, but there are criticisms and complaints about aspects of the movie that I've seen people have, and I think they're just misunderstandings or just weird takes. One of the complaints that I've seen was that Hercule wasn't a good villain. My thought process about this one is that people don't feel that Hercule isn't exactly a big bad like most Disney and Pixar movies have and is just a dude. However, I feel like Hercule just being a snobby jerk is what makes him a good villain. Heck, I wouldn't really call him a villain either, just give him the label as an antagonist. When you have a slice of life film, you don't want an over-the-top baddie since it just doesn't work with the atmosphere the movie has. Having someone who's just a jerk, and in the case of childhood, the town bully, is perfect for the story that they're trying to tell and does the job really well. Next up is the fact that when Luca and Alberto revealed themselves as sea monsters to the town folk accepted them relatively quickly without any complaints. Now for a little bit, I found this argument pretty believable and had a point, as the writing might have had a flaw. How could a town that is afraid of sea monsters and is a fishing town so quickly accept sea monsters? But then I realized that there are multiple factors within that entire shot that immediately changed my mind and made it all make sense. First of all, Luca and Alberto go back to help Julia, which is the first signal to people that maybe sea monsters aren't that bad. The townsfolk are still in hunt mode, but because Luca and Alberto helped Julia back up, Julia defended them, and the two also had a good relationship with Massimo. Massimo changed his perception on sea monsters and accepted them as who they are rather than what they look like, and vouched for them for the town. Now, this is a bit of a weaker stance, but the two also managed to win the race, proving to people that anyone can race, whether they are a human or a sea monster. Going back to some more stronger points, Luca's parents reveal themselves as sea monsters right in front of the crowd while they're running to embrace their son. This shows the people that sea monsters aren't that different from them and that they too have families and care for each other like people do. And as a final blow, the reveal of the two ladies who ate ice cream throughout the entire movie secretly being sea monsters is what would confirm why people accepted sea monsters so quickly. These sea monsters had hid their identity most likely for a while now, so the townsfolk probably know them well and have grown relationships with them. Now seeing that they're sea monsters, the people are shocked, but now realize that sea monsters have been with them all along and that shouldn't change anything. To add on to this idea that the whole town accepted them, they actually didn't. Obviously, there's Ercole who hasn't given up his ego and drive for money, but there's also the people who were about to catch Luca and Alberto anyways until Massimo did the eyebrow raise, as well as people in the crowd who disliked the results of the race. Not only is this more realistic than the whole town immediately accepting them, but it's also a good metaphor and analogy for instances in real life with oppressed groups. Finally, one of the biggest and possibly most annoying points that I've seen from people is their complaints about the movie's ending. I've seen people say that Luca and Alberto should not have split up and should have remained together, either both going to school or they both went through their Vespa dream. In either scenario, this would have led to poor writing, as it doesn't exactly show any growth for the characters. Alberto himself felt that school wasn't for him, and based on what we saw about Alberto disliking being told what to do and being more free, we could assume that it just wouldn't work out for him. On the other hand, with both of them going through with their Vespa dream, we know as the audience that it realistically wouldn't work out. Their dream of traveling around the world with a Vespa is a childhood dream, and then buying the Vespa followed by Alberto selling it off for Luca shows how they have grown up past that dream, as they have already accomplished and lived through it. Overall, the two splitting up in the end is the best ending we could get, as it shows character development and gives characters the lives that they've always wanted. Luca gets to live a life past his underwater home and be independent, while Alberto gets to finally live with a father figure he could look up to. To add on, there's nothing wrong with wanting a happier ending, but you have to admit that the movie accomplished its goal of making you feel that childhood wonder and getting you attached to their dream, despite its unlikeliness. Luca definitely isn't a movie for everyone, especially those Pixar buffs that are still holding out for movies with the same quality as Pixar's golden years. I hate to break it to you, but you're never gonna get that same quality. However, I believe that with how well written the story and characters are, and that it's something different from Pixar's norm, Luca should be acknowledged as a new addition to the library of Pixar's masterpieces, and marked as a step in the right direction for Pixar's future. We'll see if I end up being right, with Pixar's next installation turning red. I meant to get this video out back in August, but that definitely didn't work out. It even took me so long to make this video that they released an Alberto and Massimo themed short on Disney+. So my point on that is pretty much useless. I'm in my senior year of high school, so the past few months have been very busy, and I've also wanted to take the time off to make the most of my final year. That being said, now that my schedule has cleared up for now, I'll be able to pump out a bit more content. So no promises, but stay tuned for a few banger videos and streams coming soon. If you guys want to stay updated on whatever else I'm doing, go follow me on my Twitter and my other social medias. Thank you guys for all the fan art you guys made. It always warms my heart to see them. And if you guys have anything to send me, send it over to me on Twitter or on my Discord server. That's all I have to say for now, so I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!